My cousin bragged she was pregnant during my vows, but the timing couldn't have exposed her worse. My cousin Sarah has always been the attention-seeking type. Every family gathering, she'd find some way to make it about her. When I turned 16, she announced her engagement at my birthday dinner. When I graduated high school valedictorian, she showed up to the ceremony in a wedding dress for a practice run. At my college graduation, she fake fainted during my speech and had to be carried out by paramedics. The pattern was always the same. Sarah would wait for my big moments, then create some crisis that required all the family's attention. My parents would always rush to help her, leaving me standing there like an afterthought. She's going through a rough time, they'd say. Be understanding. But this was my wedding day. I'd specifically had a conversation with her 2 months before. I sat her down and said, "Sarah, this is literally the most important day of my life. Please, I'm begging you, just let me have this one day." She looked me dead in the eye and promised she wouldn't cause any drama. Of course not. It's your special day. I would never do anything to take away from that. I should have known better. The week before the wedding, she started acting weird. She'd text me random questions like, "What time does the ceremony start again?" And "Where exactly will you be standing?" When I asked why she needed to know, she'd just say she wanted to make sure she had the best view to support me. Then 3 days before the wedding, my mom mentioned that Sarah had been asking her about the church layout. She wanted to know which pew would give her the clearest sightline to the altar. Mom said, "She's just so excited to be there for you." My stomach started churning. I knew Sarah well enough to recognize when she was plotting something. The morning of the wedding, my best man pulled me aside. "Dude, I just saw Sarah at the hotel bar at 9 a.m. She was on the phone telling someone about some big announcement she was going to make today. Should I be worried?" I tried to stay calm, but my hands were literally shaking as I got dressed. My bride-to-be, Emma, noticed I was on edge. "What's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost." I explained Sarah's history and my growing suspicions. Emma, who works as a labor and delivery nurse, just smiled and said, "Don't worry, whatever she's planning, we'll handle it together." Walking down the aisle, I spotted Sarah immediately. She was sitting in the third row, fidgeting with her purse and checking her watch every few seconds. She had this weird, excited energy that made my skin crawl. During the opening remarks, she kept shifting in her seat and whispering to my aunt. When the pastor asked if anyone had objections, she literally sat forward like she was about to speak, then seemed to think better of it. I started to relax a little as we got to the vows. Maybe I'd been paranoid. Maybe Sarah had actually meant it when she promised not to cause drama. That's when I made the mistake of looking directly at her while saying my vows to Emma. Sarah had this look on her face, this smug, barely contained excitement like she was about to burst. She was gripping her champagne glass so tightly her knuckles were white, but nothing prepared me for what she pulled next. Right as I'm saying my vows, Sarah suddenly stands up and announces loudly, "I'm sorry, but I just can't hold this in anymore. I'm pregnant." The whole church goes silent. Sarah's beaming, clearly loving the attention. But Emma is a labor and delivery nurse, and she immediately notices something Sarah forgot about. Sarah is holding a champagne glass. Emma walks right up to Sarah and says sweetly, "Congratulations. When are you due?" "3 months." Sarah beams. Emma announces to the entire church, "That's so exciting." Though I'm a bit concerned about the alcohol consumption in the first trimester. Sarah's face goes white as she realizes she's been holding that champagne glass through her entire announcement. The whole church starts murmuring. She tried to stammer about it being sparkling cider, but everyone had watched her get it from the champagne table. Sarah quietly sat down and didn't say another word for the rest of the night. My boss thought I was faking being sick until he visited me in the hospital. I was only 3 months into my dream job when weird things started happening. First, my hands would shake so bad I couldn't type. Then I started getting dizzy spells at my desk. I tried to push through it, but one day I completely blacked out in the middle of a meeting. My coworkers had to catch me before I hit the floor. I woke up to everyone staring at me with worried faces. My boss wasn't happy. He kept hinting that maybe the job was too stressful for me and I should consider something else. The way he looked at me during meetings made my stomach turn. That weekend, I ended up in the ER. The doctors were baffled. My organs were starting to fail, but they couldn't figure out why. The monitors kept beeping with warning signals. Monday morning, my boss called. My mom answered since I could barely speak. Instead of making excuses, she simply invited him to visit me in the ICU. He showed up that afternoon. The moment he saw me, hooked up to machines, 30 pounds lighter, barely conscious, his face went white. He stammered an apology that brought tears to my eyes. The next day, HR called. They'd approved unlimited sick leave and would hold my position. My boss even organized a meal train for my family. My coworkers brought homemade soup every week. Turns out I had a rare autoimmune disease. It took 3 months to recover, but my job was waiting. My boss never questioned a sick day again. Sometimes people need to see to believe, but once they do, it changes everything.
My daughter's first word exposed my wife's biggest secret. I was so excited to hear my baby girl's first word. For weeks, I'd been saying dada whenever I could. But one morning, while I was feeding her breakfast, she looked right at me and said, "Alex." She kept saying it, giggling like it was our game. I didn't know any Alex. When I asked my wife about it, she got quiet and said it must be from some kid's show. But something felt off. Her hands were shaking as she washed dishes. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about how my wife had been working late a lot lately. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I checked her phone while she was in the shower. There were hundreds of messages from work project in her phone. But this wasn't about work at all. It was Alex. And the messages went back to before our daughter was even born. The last message read, "She looks more like you every day." I took screenshots of everything and sent them to myself. Then I got a DNA test done. When the results came back, my heart stopped. My daughter wasn't mine. I confronted my wife with the test results. She broke down and admitted everything. Alex wasn't just her coworker. He was her high school sweetheart she'd never gotten over. The divorce was ugly, but worth it. Last week, I signed adoption papers for my new girlfriend's little boy. Turns out real love isn't about DNA. It's about choice. And this time, I chose my family instead of having it chosen for me.
I witnessed a teacher destroying a child's spirit, and I'll never forgive myself for not doing more. I was giving a presentation in a third-grade classroom when I noticed him, a sweet boy sitting alone in the back corner. His desk was pushed far away from everyone else's, like he was being punished just for existing. The moment he raised his hand, the teacher snapped at him to put it down. Throughout my entire presentation, she kept making cruel comments. This is the worst class I've ever had. These kids are impossible. Every time a student tried to participate, she'd shut them down. I could see the other kids glancing at him, some with pity, others too scared to show any reaction at all. I watched this bright-eyed boy shrink smaller and smaller. When he tried answering a question, she'd roll her eyes. When he got excited about something, she'd make him feel stupid. His shoulders would slump a little more each time, like he was trying to disappear. I told his mom that day to get him moved to a different class. She said it was too complicated, that it might make things worse, but she was wrong. A year later, I saw him again. That spark in his eyes was gone. His mom told me he barely speaks up anymore, too afraid of being humiliated. She cried as she told me how he used to love school, how he'd come home buzzing with excitement about learning new things. I should have fought harder. I should have reported that teacher. Now I have to live with knowing I let a bully destroy a child's love of learning forever.